My parents mocked me, when will your kids be as successful as your sisters? She smirked, in 10 years. I smiled and said, then I'm done paying your mortgage. Hours later, calls flooded in, my sister pleaded, please. I replied, wait 10 more years. For 6 long years, I let my own sister quietly bleed my family dry, all while my parents praised her success and, frankly, mocked my kids. But then came one Sunday dinner, one crushing question, and one dismissive smirk that finally shattered everything I thought I knew about family. So, let me tell you about Daniel. That's me. I'm 35, and yeah, I'm the classic middle child. You know the type, the designated helper, the one who remembers everyone's weird food allergies and shows up with extra folding chairs. I'm the guy who fixes your Wi-Fi, builds flat-pack furniture without a single swear word, and keeps spare phone chargers in my glove compartment like they're gourmet granola bars. It's just my nature. I've been married for 10 years to Lena, my rock. We've got 2 amazing kids, Max, who's 8 and collects rocks like precious jewels, even apologizing to them if he drops one. And then there's June, 5, who thinks every single dog she meets is named Kevin. Seriously. I teach math at a community college during the day, and at night, I tutor high schoolers. It's not some flashy, Instagram perfect career, but it's honest. It pays the bills, mostly. Then there's my older sister, Tessa. Oh, Tessa. She's the golden child. Always has been. Marketing director, aggressive smile, photos that look like they belong in a magazine. And my younger brother, Leo? He just kind of floats through life, surprised when anything actually happens. Our parents, bless their hearts, they orbit Tessa like she's the sun. Since we were little, her school projects turned into gallery openings. Mine? Got great, but keep pushing. Leo once learned 3 chords on a guitar, and suddenly we were a musical family. That's the kind of context you need to understand what happened last Sunday. It was a potluck at my parents' house. You know the drill, paper plates, but the good napkins, my dad's ancient speakers quietly playing some classic rock. Tessa, of course, arrived fashionably late, carrying these perfect cupcakes from some artisanal bakery. She presented them like they were Olympic medals, then immediately launched into a breathless monologue about her twins' robotics club and their travel soccer schedule. She was rattling off achievements like a stock ticker, and my mom's eyes were just glowing, that particular glitter they get when Tessa lists accomplishments. My dad? He was nodding so hard I actually worried about whiplash. Lena, being Lena, had brought her incredible chicken and rice. I, being me, made a salad. Max and June were doing their usual thing, running circles around the coffee table, until my mom chirped, careful with the vase, in that tone that really means, your kids are a hurricane and Tessa's kids are angels. And sure enough, Tessa's twins were sitting perfectly on the couch, heads bowed over their tablets, the blue light haloing their impeccable posture. Dinner was loud, a jumble of layered stories. Updates on cousins, a neighbor's roof disaster, my dad's tired old tale about kids these days that he's been polishing for a decade. I just chewed, smiled, and refilled water glasses. That's what I do. I'm the helper. I smooth things over when the tension hums like a refrigerator you just can't turn off. Then my mom said it. The question that just opened the floor like a trapdoor. So, Daniel, she said, her voice bright with that performance energy. When will your kids ever be as successful as Tessa's kids? I swear, my fork was halfway to my mouth, suspended in midair. My kids. They're 8 and 5. Tessa, sitting there, she actually smirked. Like a meme come to life. Probably in 10 years, she snapped, taking a photo of herself with a cupcake. Kidding. Kind of. My dad actually laughed. She's not wrong, he boomed. Under the table, Lena squeezed my knee. Hard. I heard a chair scrape. I heard June ask Max if he wanted to trade carrots for a roll. But mostly, I heard the ocean. That roaring sound in my ears? That's my blood pressure putting on a goddamn show. It's not a competition, I said, because I always start soft. Always. Tessa tilted her head, like she was genuinely perplexed. Everything's a competition. How else do you measure growth? My mom chimed in with that sweet, poisonous tone. We just want the best for your kids, Daniel. Maybe a little more ambition. I smiled. A small, tight thing that felt like my face was taped up. I didn't say what I really wanted to say. I didn't mention that my students text me at 11 at night about factoring polynomials because I told them to, because I make space for them when no one else does. I didn't say that Max learned to tie his shoes yesterday and I almost cried with pride. I didn't say that we can't sign them up for 3 travel teams because travel sports cost money that just vanishes every single month. Instead, I swallowed. And I changed the subject. Who wants coffee? As I stood up to make it, Tessa hit me again. Light as air. Do you think Max would be more focused if he spent less time with those silly rocks? I looked at my mom. She pretended to adjust the salt shaker. My dad just smiled at his plate. Lena's fingers pressed once more on my knee. I'm here, that was the first trigger. I didn't react. Not yet. I poured coffee, passed sugar, laughed at the right times. I drove home with my jaw clenched so tight it ached. Later, after the kids were asleep, I sat at our dining table. My hands were wrapped around a lukewarm mug, staring at the wall clock I'd meant to fix for 3 months. It clicked unevenly. I listened. I counted. I tried to decide what counted most. Peace? Pride? Money? Or our kids hearing they're behind in a race they didn't even sign up for? I didn't go to war that night. I brushed my teeth, climbed into bed, and told myself it was nothing. But in the morning, that question still sat inside my chest. Heavy. Like a stone. The truth is, it wasn't just about the twins or the cupcakes. It was about 10 years of a quiet, unspoken arrangement that had stopped feeling quiet a long, long time ago. See, when Tessa bought her house, it was a stretch. She sent a group text, a photo of keys in her manicured hand, and wrote, "Manifested." 2 months later, she called me. "Daniel," she said, breathless. "We hit a snag. Temporary thing with escrow, an investor pulled out. I'll pay you back, I just need a bridge for a few months." I believed her. I always do. She cried on the phone, a sound like rain hitting a window. I said yes. A few months became a year. Then 2. Then 5. You know how bridges sometimes become highways? She set up a temporary auto transfer from my account to her mortgage. $1,150. On the 3rd of every month. I told myself it was a family thing. A season. She'd pick it up later. She'd catch up. We'd laugh about it someday. Every time I gently nudged, it was next quarter, I promise. Or, big project. Bonus season is weird this year. Or the classic, you know, we're good for it. Lena knew. Of course she did. We share a bank account, a bed, a life. We made a deal, we'd help until we couldn't. But couldn't became a very slippery concept. We trimmed our groceries. We stretched shoes for 1 more month. We told Max soccer was once a week and June's dance was just the Saturday free class. We kept our car past the point of wisdom. We said later to vacations. We carved tiny luxuries out of little corners, library books, park days, half-price ice cream. I watched Lena make 4 chicken breasts feed us for 6 meals, with magic and planning and a spreadsheet she named Stretch. My parents knew too. They never said thank you. They just said things like, family supports family, or we're so proud of how close you kids are. Which is a nice way to say, we enjoy the benefits of your generosity. When Tessa posted photos of her kitchen remodel, marble that could literally blind you, my mom wrote stunning, under it with 17 heart emojis. She didn't text me privately to ask how we were doing. When I paid a medical bill for June's ear tube surgery, I got a heart emoji to a photo of June with a sticker, and then a link from my mom to Tessa's HOA newsletter about the neighborhood block party. You can call me stupid. I called myself that in the shower more than once. I'd say, it's temporary, to the tile. It's family, to the mirror. It's not that much, to the ceiling, then watched our savings crawl along at the pace of an injured snail. The smaller stuff piled up like receipts in a junk drawer. Tessa never brought dishes to potlucks, only desserts with her name on the box. When she took the kids to a trampoline park, she put the tickets on my card because she'd forgotten her wallet, then Venmo'd $12 with a sparkle emoji and a note for smiles. The mortgage transfer was quiet. The little indignities were loud. Together, they built a rhythm where I paid, and everyone else called me generous. Lena stayed steady, which is her gift. She'd ask, "You okay?" when she saw me staring at the bank app like it held a prophecy. And I'd say, "Yeah." Because sometimes, telling the truth felt like lighting a match in a paper house. One night, she said gently, "We can stop." I said, "After summer." And then summer arrived, and Tessa's twins needed camp money to keep them engaged. I felt like the villain in a story I hadn't even written. My parents kept the chorus going. "Tessa works so hard," my mom would say, at least twice a call. "She deserves nice things." I'd say, "So does everyone." She'd say, "Don't be bitter." I wasn't. Not exactly. I was tired. Every month. On the second, I felt my shoulders rise toward my ears, like they were trying to hide. On the third, the transfer went out. On the fourth, I recalibrated our budget like a car with a steering issue. I took on more tutoring. I told students, "Pay what you can," and I meant it. And then I'd stay up late, doing the arithmetic of our life. If you asked why I didn't confront Tessa sooner, I have an answer I hate. Because peace at holidays felt more expensive than money. Because my parents' approval is a currency I still kept in a jar, even if the coins were useless in the real world. Because I like being the person who helps. Because when we were kids, Tessa once let me stay in her room when I was scared of a storm. She told me stories until I fell asleep. She was 14 and bored, and I was 9 and shaking. Memory is sticky. But then Sunday happened. That dinner. That question, when will your kids ever be as successful as Tessa's kids? Tessa's smirk. Probably in 10 years. Laughter like clinking ice. Lena's hand on my knee. On the drive home, Lena said nothing for 5 minutes. Then, "I'm proud of our kids." I nodded. "Me, too." She waited. "Do you hear it?" she asked finally. "Hear what?" "The story they tell. The one where success looks like travel teens and a marble backsplash." I swallowed. "I hear it." She looked out the window. "We need a new story." That night, I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling fan. I pictured our bank account like a bathtub with a slow leak at the drain. I pictured Tessa's marble counters and my students' faces when something finally clicked. I pictured Max lining up rocks by color and June whispering, "Good night, Kevin," to an actual dog whose name isn't Kevin. I pictured my parents' faces, delighted and shiny around Tessa, dim and managerial around me. In the morning, the stone was still there, heavy and round. I made breakfast. I packed lunches. I kissed the tops of small heads. I drove to work with the radio off. During office hours, I explained compound interest to a nursing student who said, "I'm bad at math." And I said, "You're not. You're under-practiced." She smiled. I wrote practice on the board and thought about our life. That night, we had leftovers and popsicles. The kids dragged blankets into the living room and made a fort. I watched them breathe in their tent and decided something quiet. Not a rage decision. A math decision. I decided the bridge was closed. Breaking points are rarely loud. Mine happened at my parents' dining table, with a pitcher of iced tea sweating onto a doily. It was the next Saturday. Tessa wanted to plan spring, schedules for birthdays, games, vacations, photos, presents. My mom loves calendars like they're her grandchildren. We gathered at noon. I brought pasta salad. Tessa brought a timeline. Lena brought patience. We got through April and half of May before my dad, unprompted, said, "So, Daniel, what's the plan to get your kids into something more competitive?" He said competitive like it tasted expensive. I took a breath. They're 8 and 5. He shrugged. You're the teacher. You know early matters. My mom added, sing-song, we just don't want them to fall behind your sister's kids. Tessa smiled into her water glass. They'll catch up. Maybe in 10 years. Lena's hand landed on my thigh like a paperweight. The pitcher dripped. The doily soaked. The calendar waited. I put my pen down. Then I'm done paying your mortgage, I said. It came out softer than I expected. Calm. Not a threat. A weather report. The room pressed pause. My mom blinked. My dad's mouth made a small O. Tessa's face did the flicker, shock, calculation, then charm, before she settled on, confused innocent. What are you talking about? The transfer on the 3rd, I said. The one I've been making for years. My mom's eyebrows climbed. That's private family business. I'm family, I said. It's my business. Tessa laughed. Brittle. It's temporary. We talked about this. We did, I said. Temporarily for a few months. We're at year 6. She waved a hand. You know, bonuses have been weird. My dad found his footing. You can't just stop without warning. I can, I said. And I am. My mom's voice went sharp. We thought you were generous. I am, I said. Generous is not unlimited. Tessa leaned forward. You're going to make my kids pay for adult stuff? That's cruel. She glanced at my mom, like they'd rehearsed this argument backstage. I shook my head. I'm not making your kids do anything. I'm stopping doing a thing I shouldn't have been doing this long. What changed? My mom demanded, as if fairness were a switch I just flipped off. I looked at Lena. She looked back. We both breathed. I heard you, I said. Asking when my kids would ever be as successful as Tessa's kids. I heard all of you laugh. I heard probably in 10 years. And I realized I'd been paying for a narrative that's hurting my family. That's dramatic, my dad said. Maybe, I said. But it's accurate. My mom pointed. We raised you. And I love you, I said. This isn't about revenge. This is about closure. About ending a pattern. Tessa tried another angle. Okay, fine. Can you just give me until summer? No. Until June? No. She blinked, actually surprised. Wow. Power trip. I stood. Not a storm out. Just standing. I'll call the bank Monday. I'll remove the transfer. I'll send you the exact amount we've contributed so far so you can plan. I'm not discussing it further. Daniel, my mom hissed. Family doesn't do this. Family also doesn't ask one sibling to fund another's lifestyle indefinitely, Lena said. Her voice was even, for the first time all afternoon. Everyone turned. She met my mom's eyes. We have 2 kids we're raising well. We're not apologizing because they like rocks and library books more than tournaments. Silence. The kind that hums. Tessa's lips thinned. You're going to feel really stupid when this ruins our relationship. I hope not, I said. I hope it saves it. But I'm okay if the only thing it saves is my kid's college fund. My dad rubbed his forehead. You always were sensitive. I always was a person, I said. We left before dessert. In the car, Lena exhaled one long breath, like a balloon giving up. Max asked from the back seat, "Can we get slushies?" We did. They stained their tongues blue. We went home and built a fort that used every blanket we owned. I lay under it and stared at the ceiling through the fabric, feeling equal parts terror and immense relief. Monday morning, I called the bank on my lunch break. I canceled the auto transfer. I asked the rep to confirm twice. She said, "You're all set." I said, "Thanks," like I'd just performed a small surgery on my own life. I sent Tessa a short email. Transfer canceled effective immediately. We've contributed $82,800 over 6 years. We can't continue. I wish you all planning around this. I kept it clean. No commentary, no math jokes. At 4 p.m., my phone started ringing. First came the calls you expect. Call me now. Are you serious? Answer your mother. I let them stack. Then the texts. We need to talk. You blindsided us. Your nieces have piano this week. You know the bank is strict. Wow. I didn't answer for an hour because I was teaching, because I wanted a little control, and because Lena said, "Give it a beat." When I finally looked, there were 14 missed calls. 9 from my mom, 3 from Tessa, 1 each from my dad and my aunt, who lives to narrate conflict. Then Tessa's text, "Please, just through summer." I typed, deleted, typed again. I wrote 4 words, "Wait 10 more years." I hit send. It was petty. It was also honest. She'd said 10 years. I put my phone face down and graded quizzes. At 6 p.m., we sat down to dinner. Pasta, peas, garlic bread made from the end of a loaf. My phone buzzed in a frenzy. I put it on a shelf. Max told me about a rock that looks like a potato. June asked if potatoes are rocks. Lena smiled with her mouth and her eyes. After we cleaned up, I picked up my phone like it might bite. "My mom, how could you humiliate your sister like that?" I had sent the email only to Tessa. "My dad, this is between you kids." He meant, "You fix it so I can stay out of it." My aunt, "Your mother is crying." My grandma, "Call me." Tessa, "You're cruel." Then, "I didn't realize you were keeping score." Then, "I'll pay you back." Then, "We'll talk tomorrow. You'll calm down." I wrote one message and sent it to our family group and separately to my parents, so no one could pretend they missed it. I'm not available for negotiation. We helped for 6 years. We can't anymore. Please don't call Lena about this. If you need financial planning resources, I'll send some. I love you. This is a boundary. Minutes later, my mom called. I answered. She started with, "We are disappointed," in her church voice. Then she tried, "We sacrificed so much for you," as if childhood receipts are a currency you can spend forever. Then she moved to, "You're ruining family harmony." I said, "Family harmony is not one person paying silently while being mocked." She said, "Don't put words in my mouth." I said, "You put them there Sunday." There was a pause. Then she cried, the small, gasping kind which used to completely undo me. It still tugged. I let it sit. When she calmed, I said, "We're okay, you and I, but I'm not changing my mind." She switched to logistics. "Tessa needs time." I said, "She's had time." My mom said, "You're making where we live everyone's business." I said, "I'm making my money my business." She said, "I didn't realize you were counting." I said, "That's how budgets work." We hung up with no ribbon tied. I locked my phone and felt tired in my bones. The next morning, Tessa texted, "We can do $200 a month till summer. You cover the rest." I read it twice because it felt like a parody. I replied, "No." She sent a screenshot of her mortgage account and wrote, "Look, I didn't." She wrote, "I've always been there for you," and a list of things she thinks count: rides when we were teens, a hoodie she bought me once, a weekend she babysat our kids for 6 hours but also posted 40 photos. I wrote, "I appreciate those. This is separate." She wrote, "You're unbelievable." My dad sent, "Let's be reasonable." I replied, "We are being reasonable." He wrote, your tone is disrespectful. I wrote, so was Sunday. By lunch, I had 3 voicemails. One from my aunt, honey, be the bigger person. One from my grandma, families fight, then they eat cake. One from a number I didn't know that turned out to be Tessa's husband, Evan. Bro, we're tightening our belts, too. You're not the only one struggling. He listed his struggles: ski trip cancellation, postponed patio upgrade, a nanny who wouldn't go full-time. I put my forehead on my desk and laughed into the wood because sometimes the only alternative is pure, unadulterated rage. At 3 p.m., an email arrived. A past due notice. It was addressed to Tessa, but my address was CC'd because she'd used my email on a form once, and we never changed it. I forwarded it to her with, "You got this." She replied, "Monster." I took a breath and did something that felt like a traitor's kindness. I typed up a bare-bones budget template and a list of resources: a reputable credit counselor, a community workshop, a book that helped us. I sent it with, "If you want help building a plan, I'm available Tuesday and Thursday after 8. 10 minutes later, she wrote, "I'm not your student." That night, the family group chat tried to pivot to humor. My mom posted a photo of her cat in a box. My dad sent a meme about Mondays on a Wednesday. No one mentioned the thing. Then at 11 p.m., Tessa, fine. 1 month. Then you resume till Q4. I didn't reply. I set my phone to do not disturb and slept for 6 hours. Woke for a bit, then slept for 2 more. It felt like breaking a fever. The fallout spread like receding water. My mom cooled. She left me 2 days of silence, then texted, "Dinner Sunday?" I asked, "Are we going to rehash?" She wrote, "No. We went." It was muted. Tessa stayed away. My dad talked about the weather like it owed him money. My mom served lasagna and said to the air, "Some people think boundaries mean doors." I said, "They do." A week later, Tessa called Lena directly. That crossed a line. Lena texted the family chat, "Please direct all financial questions to Daniel. I won't be part of triangulation." My respect for my wife, already sky-high, broke the scale. My mom wrote, "We don't use therapy words in this family," which is possibly the most therapy sentence I've ever seen. Tessa posted a story with a quote about betrayal from within over a sepia picture of coffee. Her friends commented hearts. I muted her for 30 days. I braced for the cousins. 2 reached out privately. One wrote, "Proud of you, man. We thought we were the only ones fronting stuff." Another wrote, "I love Tessa, but yes, that felt like a blanket over cold shoulders." At the end of the month, my bank app did not show a transfer on the 3rd. It showed our balance sitting still. I stared at the number like it might sprout legs. I transferred $300 to our savings and labeled it Fort. I took Max to the rock shop with $10. He chose 3 rocks and paid proudly. June picked a pink one and named it Kevin. We got ice cream, full price. The next bill cycle, Tessa made the payment late, then on time, then late again. She sent me a screenshot each time, like I was a coach grading her progress. I sent a thumbs up. At one point, she texted, "Are you happy watching me struggle?" I wrote, "I don't watch you. I'm raising my family. You can do hard things." She wrote, "Don't therapize me." I wrote, "Okay." My parents tried on different tactics. Guilt, "We're disappointed." Flattery, "You're so responsible." Minimization, "It's not that much, darling." Duty, "We're your parents." Shame, "People will talk." Nostalgia, "Remember when." I made a small script and stuck to it. I love you. We helped for 6 years. We're done. This isn't punishment. This is a boundary. It felt robotic sometimes. That helped. 2 months in, we sat with a banker to open a separate account for the kids' college. The banker asked what we wanted to name it. Lena said, "Future." I said, "Fort." We compromised. Future Fort. We put $100 in, then $50 more when I got paid for a Saturday SAT boot camp. It was small. It was also enormous. We told the kids in our own way. We're saving for later, I said at bedtime. Like snacks? June asked. Like snacks, I said. A lot of snacks called tuition, Lena added from the hallway. Max asked if college has rocks. It has geology, I said, and he whispered, cool, like a prayer. The third month, my mom asked if we'd help with groceries. I said, we can bring a dish Sunday. She said, that's not the same. I said, I know. She hung up gently, which felt like progress. Then, unexpectedly, Tessa called on a Tuesday night. I made a budget, she said, defensive. I hate it. I said, they're not love letters. She blew out a breath. Can you look? We did, on Zoom. No jokes, no jabs. We cut the patio upgrade. We paused the nanny. We kept piano once a week. We found $480 she didn't know she had because subscriptions are sneaky. When we hung up, she said, unwillingly, thanks. I said, proud of you. She said, don't. I said, okay. She cried for 10 seconds, then hung up. It didn't fix everything. Not like a movie. There wasn't a group hug or a perfect apology. But it moved something. The story just shifted. My parents still boast about Tessa's twins tournaments. I still bring folding chairs. But now, when someone says, when will your kids be as successful as Tessa's? I say, they already are. They're kind and curious. Then I changed the subject by asking who needs more salad. Tessa still posts about her hustle. I still mute occasionally. But she also texts me an actual question once a month. How do you set up autopay? Can you explain APR? Is Costco a trap? Yes, it is. I answer if I have bandwidth. I say no if I don't. It doesn't end the world. Lena and I added a new line to our kitchen whiteboard. Say no early. It's a reminder and a bit of a joke. We say yes to the library, to rocks, to park picnics, to movie nights under blankets, and to pasta with too much garlic. We say no to funding other people's stories at the price of our own. And honestly, it feels like we finally wrote the happy ending we deserved.